has not even come out and acknowledged that there were talks at all. There is no ceasefire as far as Iran is concerned. So the Gulf nations, being the fact that they can't choose who their neighbor is and will be in a direct line of fire if Iran continues to do what they do, they can be cautious, yes. They can hope that what Donald Trump is saying is true, but they still have to be prepared to be at the receiving end of this.
Well, we are in a very uncertain phase at the moment. We certainly have heard what we have heard from Iranian media, but it's not likely that Trump was entirely hallucinating when he said that there have been conversations with the Iranians and that there has been an agreement. Trump is unreliable, but is he that unreliable? Could he have just made this up on his own? Not very likely. The question is who he has been talking to and whether this has been direct or through an intermediary, and there have been many possible and potential intermediaries we've been looking at. And if it is not responsible people like Pezeshkian or Arakchi who have been a part of this conversation, then this is all not likely to go very far at all. We do have to bear in mind that while Trump, of course, is on the back foot here, this war is unpopular within the U.S. He's been under great pressure to end it. Also, Iran is battered, heavily battered, and facing prospects even of worse. Therefore, clearly, both sides have an interest in bringing this to an end. Iran for its reason, the U.S. for its reasons. Israel would be least on board. Israel would want to go all the way until the last missile launcher is taken out, until the entire enriched uranium that Iran has is seized. Those are not goals that are realistic. They never were likely to have been met. So Iran will retain its ballistic capacity. It will retain its enriched uranium. Therefore, Israel would then, if it were to end where it is now, Israel would be the one that comes off weakest through all this, and the U.S. the weakest. And Iran, battered as it is, would have held on to its positions and held on to its claims that it will not give up on enriched uranium, it will not give up on ballistic missiles. So really, the weak one, who would have thought that Iran would be able to prevail against the combined military might of the US and Israel? But if this were to stop here, and it is an if, then certainly, battered as it is, Iran would have prevailed.
And not only prevailed, they've even set conditions in terms for how they would want this war to end. And those three conditions, Tarakarta, that Iran had put forth for the United States was, one of them was also that there are guarantees that no such future attacks take place on them. That's something that is a guarantee that no one would have ever given, Sanjay, isn't it?
Well, that's a guarantee no one can give. I mean, certainly Trump will not give that guarantee. And who is any president to give a guarantee for any president to come for all time to come? In America, this kind of decision making is fluid, to put it politely. And it depends upon this advice or that consultation and this program and that program. And that can change all the time, as we've seen through the course of this war and through the course of all the wars, really, that the U.S. has been engaged in since Vietnam or even the Bay of Pigs earlier. So this is not a guarantee that the U.S. is in a position to give, and it's not a guarantee that that can be secured by the Arab nations from the U.S. Certainly they have put a great deal of pressure upon the U.S. to call this off and to call a halt to it, because the prospects coming up over the next day or two really would have been catastrophic. The ultimate weapon of Iran has been the Strait of Hormuz. In fact, a passive weapon to just sit there and do nothing, launch the occasional drone, one a week would be enough, end of the passage, end of the oil business. Therefore, it is, the fact is that Iran has used the Strait of Hormuz as a weapon to have its say, and if this were to halt now, it would have prevailed, yes.
Well, Sanjay Suri, thank you very much for that update.